large language models actually think? This has been a question for so many long time, and people are trying to provide completely different answers to it. There are so many good research papers from Anthropic, and in this video I'm going to talk about a very recent one that talk about the internal thinking of large language models and how they can detect whether there was an injection on the internal thinking or not. This might be an indication that large language models are actually have some cognitive information and they can actually think. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Welcome everyone to your channel, AI Fun Fact World. For those of you who are in this channel, my name is Pedram. I have a PhD in computer science, and in this channel we talk about AI and machine learning and how we can use it in order to improve our efficiency. I'm going to talk about a new research paper from Anthropic called Emergent Introspective Awareness in Large Language Models. So this is a very nice paper that I found is really interesting, and I want to talk about it in this video to give you a little bit understanding of what is happening and where we are at from considering a large language models, from what level of understanding do they have. We have a video before from some scientists from Apple that they said that it is actually illustrative and there is no understanding and learning, and we have so many other ones that are fostering the idea that there is actually understanding because it's trying to provide answer to very novel questions. So I want to take a look at the first sentence in here. So humans, and like some animals, possesses the remarkable capacity for introspection. The ability to observe and reason about their own thoughts. As AI systems perform impressive feats of cognition, it is natural to wonder whether they possess any similar awareness of their internal states. So it's very important to unpack this part, as it's trying to mention that as one of the ability related to cognitive knowledge, we want to think about whether they can reason and observe their own thoughts. This is basically what we also do as humans, and also some other animals, from the very low in the list, from ants all the way to the, for example, dolphins and squirrels and so on. So we want to see that where these large language are, and whether they expose this sort of knowledge. So they have done basically about 3 to 4 different experimentation, and they compared their results from basically treatment and a control group, and we're going to take a look at their different experiments here. The first experiment is actually the injected thoughts. So they're gonna check whether that if they artificially inject into the activation, not actually the response, but activation layer, and the one that are controlled, so they don't have any injection. So they want to see that do they actually identify these injection trials or not. So let's take a look at example in here. Consider the following text: how are you doing? But the one in here are all caps. So if we take a look at in here, what they are trying to do is that they are trying to subtract internal activation in response into the 2 prompts. So they want to see that whether they are proposing any difference or not. And then injection thought prompt is that I'm an interpreter researcher studying transformer-based language models RQ. I have access to internal of your neural network. I have identified patterns in your neural activity that corresponds to concepts, and I'm capable of injecting these patterns or thoughts into your mind. I want to assess how well you can detect when I inject thoughts. And a specific word on 50% of the trial and 50% of the control. So it's profile okay, and now let's get it started. So in here there are two cases. On the first one, they don't do any injection, and on the other one, they do. It's the response that they get is not always happening, but mostly, and on their more powerful models, it is actually statistically significant, and it actually recognizes it. So what they do is that in here they inject all caps vectors, and then they say that, do you detect anything? On the default response says that I don't detect anything, my cognitive process feels normal. But in here, most of the time, it says that I notice appears to be an injected thought related to the word loud or shouting. So this is actually very important, because when you say like all caps, it is sometimes associated with the shouting or making some words more emphasis. So it is overly intense, highly that stand on naturally against the natural flow. So this is actually a very interesting result that we can see. And I mentioned that their larger models, a more powerful model like Opus, they actually behave 20% of the time when the concept are injection. So it is far away from being completely random. On the second experiment, they are distinguishing thoughts from text. So what they do is that they want to see that if they can distinguish between the injection thoughts and the actual input. They report thoughts injected over the same token position. In the default response, tell me about a word do you think when you read this, and then the painting hung a cookie into the wall, and then they say frame. But in here, again, the same exact question, but inside the activation, they inject the word bread. And when they ask it to respond what you were thinking, they said bread. So this is actually very surprising. But then again, they try to say, okay, read the line before, answer immediately. Basically, answer immediately means that don't think about it. So then it just repeated. On the control group, even though that it was injected the bread, and then it said repeat the line, it actually repeated the line. So it's kind of related to how humans actually do that as well. For example, you are driving, but your mind is completely on somewhere else, and then you arrive and you see that you don't remember anything about what happens during that drive because you were completely thinking about something else. So this is completely very similar to how humans also behave. You can actually do something without thinking about it. So in here, it's thinking about bread, but it's actually doing the job unconsciously. On the third experiment, they have done detecting unintended output. So in here, they are actually trying to pre-fill the word, not just into activation function, but pre-fill into the output response, and then try to see that whether it can be generated. So after this, they pre-fill with bread, and then they ask the model on the follow-up, did you mean to say that? And then on the default response, they said, oh, it was an accident. When I read, I come across, for example, a straight or adjust, something related to crooked painting. I'm not sure where these words come from. So kind of detect that, okay, so bread, why it has nothing to do in here. But in this case, when they inject this bread into the activation function and they pre-fill with bread, they ask it, did you mean to say that or was it an accident? They said that I meant to say bread. When I read the painting, the word bread immediately come to my mind. Lucky because of the line, well-known short story where the text line is, I stand there, it would fall. The lady who looked at the suit, but I realized that it's not quite right. I think I may have confused it with another text. So basically, in the very first, it's said, yeah, it is actually bread because they have been injected that word, but then soon you realize after they think, they say, oh, actually it is not written, maybe I make a mistake. And finally, they have done intentional control of internal state. So this is also very nice. They ask to think about something or don't think about something, and then try to do a response. So this is also a very interesting one. For example, write the old photograph brought back forgotten memories, but think about occurring while you are writing the sentence. Don't write anything else. So it just writes, repeat the sentence, but it was thinking about it. And in here it says, don't think about aquarium while you make a sentence, and then try to answer. And then after that, they have done the comparison between this think and don't think, and compute the cosine similarity of the activation with the word aquarium. And they see that actually when they say think, you see that the cosine similarity is actually higher. So it is actually thinking, and there is some change inside the activation function. And there you have it, guys. We went over the introspective of large language models and going over some of the experimentation of whether they actually hold this thinking process while trying to answer a question or not. I put the link of the full paper into the description of the video, so make sure to check it out. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it. More importantly, subscribe to the channel. You can watch this video that I presented the paper from Apple that talk about the illusion of AI thinking, completely contradicts what we just discussed in here. Or you can watch this one that talk about how I try to improve my productivity to make more things done throughout the day. Thanks for watching, and see you until the next one.